Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to GE T&D India Limited earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Ms. Tanvi Gupta from GE T&D India Limited. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Thanks, Seema. Good evening, everyone. We welcome you to the GE T&D India Limited earnings call for the first quarter of financial year ending 2023-24. I'm Tanvi Gupta from GE T&D Finance and Investor Relationship team. We're delighted to have you all here on this call. During the call, we'll discuss about the company's financial performance, including operational highlights, share the key updates, and we'll address the questions if you have any. Before we begin, I would like to highlight 3 important notes for today's call. Firstly, as we just have declared the results for the first quarter of the financial year 2024, the said results are available on our company website. Further, we have also prepared an analyst presentation for the quarter, which will be under discussion during this call. This presentation has been emailed to you and is also available on our company website. Also, I would like to take a moment to remind everyone that today's discussion may contain few forward-looking statements which are subject to risks and uncertainties. These statements are based on our current expectations, and actual results may differ materially from those expressed or implied. We encourage you to refer to our public filings and disclosures for a comprehensive understanding of the factors that could impact our future performance. Now, let me introduce the GE T&D India management team who will be available on the call. During this call, we will be joined by Mr. Sandeep Zizharia, CEO and the Managing Director of the company. Along with him, we will be joined by Mr. Sushil Kumar, Whole-time Director and CFO of the company, Mr. Abhishek Srivastava, Head Business Operations, Mr. Anshul Madan, Communications Leader, and Ms. Anupriya Garg, Company Secretary of the company. We'll be having a dedicated question and answer session towards the end of the presentation, where you can ask your questions and seek clarification on the topic of your interest. Thank you once again for joining us today. We appreciate your constant support and trust in GE T&D India Limited. Now, I'll hand over the call to Sandeep for his opening remarks. Over to you, Sandeep.
Thanks, Tanvi, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining the call. We sincerely hope that you and your families are in good health and safe. Today we are connecting from our Polavaram plant, which is basically Chennai, where we manufacture cutting-edge products to monitor, control, and safeguard the power grids and its assets. We had also invited our board of directors to join us in the Chennai plant for the board meeting and finalize the results of the last quarter, and took the opportunity to showcase our world-class manufacturing facilities in Polavaram and Padappai, which manufactures our HVS products in this visit. Before we dive into the details of our Q1 performance, I am delighted to announce the release of our annual report for the financial year 2022-23. The report highlights our accomplishments over the past year and provides valuable insights into the market outlook. We encourage you to explore the report and learn more about GE T&D. A copy of this report is readily available on our website. Additionally, we are excited about our upcoming annual general meeting scheduled on 21st of August, a recording of which will be accessible on our website afterwards. Coming to the results of Q1 23-24, I am pleased to share our team has achieved commendable results with significant growth in order and improved margins. The improvement can be attributed to our unwavering focus on execution and our ability to capitalize on opportunities in the thriving Indian power market. In Q1 23-24, our order book amounting to 10 billion and significant increase of 68% compared to 6 billion in Q1 22-23. This demonstrates a strong demand for our products and services in the market. Our sales for Q1 23-24 reached 7.2 billion, showing a remarkable increase of 21% year-on-year growth compared to 5.9 billion. This impressive performance highlights the effectiveness of our strategies and robust operations. Further, our profit before tax and exceptional item stood at 386 million, showcasing a positive growth trend compared to the profit before tax and exceptional item at 103 million in Q1 FY2022-23. We have achieved improvement in our financial position by reducing the debt by 560 million in this quarter. Our debt at the end of the quarter stands at 1170 million as compared to 1730 million, a reduction of 560. This indicates our dedication in maintaining a healthy balance sheet and improving our financial stability. The order backlog for Q1 FY2023-24 stands strong at 39.4 billion Indian rupees. I now hand over to Abhishek for the execution comments.
Hi, good evening. I will share with you all the key operational highlights for our company. So in the quarter we had made some good progress in terms of execution and commissioned some critical substations which are going to strengthen the transmission network of the country. One of the key contributions was commissioning of 400 kV GIS substation for our customer Renew in Narendra. So this particular substation is going to help in enabling evacuation of renewable power and strengthening the grid connectivity of the state of Karnataka. After that, another key contribution or achievement that we could make was 765 kV GIS base at Busan, which at Jawahar Road, Busan, which is the evacuation of the power from thermal power plant which is being set up by Busan. It is going to help in terms of strengthening the power network for the state of Uttar Pradesh. After that, another key milestone that was reached was commissioning of 765 kV and 400 kV substation for Dani as a part of the scheme which is known as WKTL Baroda Kurnool Transmission Limited. So that was one of the key challenging projects for us which we were able to successfully commission in the quarter. After that, another key milestone that was achieved was commissioning of 20 kV GIS for the FPPTCL at Guma. And that helps in strengthening the transmission network for the state of Himachal Pradesh. And another area where we had contributed was in terms of commissioning the substation for Karnataka's Kerala State Electricity Board case at Shornur, 110 kV GIS has been commissioned, and that helps in strengthening the electricity network of the state of Kerala. So with this, I hand over the mic to Sushil for financial updates.
Thanks, Abhishek. Good evening, everyone. I move to page 5 of the presentation and talking about the order intake for quarter 1. As Sandeep mentioned that we achieved an order booking of 1,066 million during the quarter, which represented a 68% growth versus last year. During the quarter, we got some of the key orders which included the supply of 765 kV GIS and 400 kV GIS with Bharat Power Grid for Raigarh Kotra project, supply of 12 number of 765 kV shunt reactor for private transmission company in India, supply of 400 kV and 220 kV GIS for Karnataka Power Transmission Corporation at Dumas Sandra and Malay Sandra from a private transmission company, and few more. So these are the major projects that we won during the quarter, which added up to the order booking of 10,066 million for the quarter. Moving to the next page, the financials, page 6. We achieved a revenue of 7,176 million. This represented 21% increase year on year versus the last year quarter 1 number. We have an improved performance also on the profitability side where our EBITDA stood at 628 million, representing 8.7% of revenue. This was 3.5 percentage points higher than the last year. And similarly, we had a significant improvement on the profit before tax and exceptional item, which stood at 386 million INR. Again, a significant improvement versus last year. In fact, if you see the last column on the page, the entire financial year, 2022-23, we achieved a profit before tax and exceptional item of 381 million. So the quarter profitability is higher than the last year's profitability, which is a significant progress. And similar improvement in profit after tax. We talked about net debt improvement. We generated 560 million of cash flow during the quarter, which helped us to bring our net debt to a low level of around 1,170 million. So, to summarize, improvement across all key financial KPIs during the quarter. Moving to the next page, page 7, we have shown the breakup of orders in terms of export orders and domestic orders. So out of 10,066 million, about 22% of the orders were from the export market and about 78% of the orders were from the domestic market. However, on the revenue side, out of 7,178 million of revenue, 70% of the revenue was from the domestic market and 30% revenue came from the execution of export orders. Order backlog, 39,403 million. Of this, 72% orders are from the private companies or private customers, 11% orders from the state utilities, and 17% from the private, central and public sector enterprises. Also, in this presentation, we have included some of the key related party approvals for which the information or the resolutions have been given in the AGM notice to the shareholders. But it's important to have a page to explain the nature of these transactions so that shareholders may ask any questions if you have to seek clarification. These resolutions are resolution number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The first 3 resolutions, as we have summarized on the page 8 of the presentation, are related to the East India Industrial Private Limited. This is a repeat approval, meaning every year we take approval for the transactions with GE Industrial Private Limited, because the overall transaction with this entity exceeds the materiality limit. Most of these transactions are related to the intra-corporate borrowing. In this resolution, we are seeking an approval of borrowing at any point of time up to 5,000 million and intra-corporate deposits of up to 1,500 million. There is a reduction versus the approval that we had got last year. Last year, we got approval of 7,000 million of borrowing. But as we have improved our cash performance, our borrowings are lower. So hence, we have reduced the requirement of inter-corporate borrowing as well. In addition to this inter-corporate borrowing and deposits, there are potential of having the sale and purchase transactions to the extent of 1,000 million. Other services, which include common services, recharge, etc., to the extent of 1,350 million, and 150 million for sharing the common facilities and lease agreement. These 3 resolutions, which are repeat in nature with GE India Industrial Private Limited, are proposed for the approval of the shareholders. Next resolution, resolution 7, is for the Grid Solution SAS. This is a French organization where we have many transactions. We do buy components from this entity for our factories. We do sell finished products and components to this entity on a regular basis. However, due to increased global market situation and having water pipeline and Grid Solution SAS, we believe that there is an opportunity where GE India can have more export orders from this entity across many geographies. And hence, we are seeking the shareholder approval, which will help us in growing our export order book and improving the execution and profitability for the company. So 4,400 million INR of sale purchase orders with Grid Solution SAS and about 1,600 million order transactions approval for the sale and purchase of other services. Now, the last resolution is with respect to Grid Solution UK Limited. There is also got a similar resolution in 2021. As the shareholders would know that the Grid Solutions UK Integrated Solution Limited is a technology partner. They are the ones who basically lead technology on the HVDC front. They are leading many discussions with many customers for booking the large HVDC projects globally, and we are in discussion with Integrated Solution Limited to see if there is a potential of booking part of the scope of that project through products and services from Grid India, which is the India Limited. So, accordingly, we have proposed for an approval of 11,500 million for sale or purchase of goods and 500 million for sale or purchase of services. These are the 5 resolutions, and we seek shareholder support in the upcoming AGM. In case you have any questions, please ask during the meeting. With that, we'll open up for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their phone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use hands while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Thank you. We take the first question from the line of Mohit Kumar from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good evening, sir, and congratulations on a good set of numbers. Sir, the question is on the transmission order inflow. Are you seeing a large traction inquiry for various power transmission equipment you provide, given the fact that there is a large transmission, large pipeline is building up? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, so Mohit, yes, we see a very large pipeline getting built up because of the evacuation of renewable capacities. So if I'm not mistaken, we have I think about 28 to 30 projects of tariff-based competitive bidding, which have been bid out by RTPSC. Also, if you look at the CA pipeline of the projects which have got approved, I think it gives a good amount of confidence for the future of transmission, at least for next 4 to 5 years.
My second question is on the annual report. I think you have spoken at length about the reform development saving scheme, RDSS. The opportunity, what are the offering we have for this particular digital opportunity, and any color on the opportunity size, and any color on the fact that a lot of people are coming up in the previous comment of the same?
So RDSS, yes, because RDSS will require a lot of control centers to be built in the distribution companies. So we are very strongly present in this market for ADMS, and in fact, we have built one order under this scheme as well. So yes, and I would still not comment on the market size too much, because most of the states are evolving in terms of their requirement. Somewhere where they are only looking for a very optimized kind of a solution, there we have a very less amount of play. Like in a project of about maybe 200 crores, we have a play of about 30-35 crores. And in certain projects where the higher amount of ADMS and other applications are required, we may have a play which might go to about 30-40% of the project size as well. So many of the states are still working on what kind of requirement they want to have. So it's obviously difficult to comment at this point of time the market size, but I would say that it's going to be a good market at least for next year.
Are you offering a SCADA solution? Is that the right understanding?
Yeah, so basically ADMS is a type of SCADA solution, but normally in our parlance we call SCADA more or less associated with a substation. But when it is for a larger scheme of things, for example, for a circle or for a district, then it is called more or less like a control center with ADMS, so Advanced Distribution Management System.
Understood, sir. The last question, the annual report are talking about wide area monitoring system, which was awarded to GE T&D in 2014, and expecting WMS of similar size to be launched soon. Has it been launched, and what is the size of the last wide area monitoring system project?
That was, I think, as you said, 2014, and probably those price benchmarks are not relevant. But yes, the discussion has started, and maybe we expect another large project. So that is, we are not expecting that project to come in this year, but maybe next year.
Understood. Understood. Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Sudeep Mitra from Nuvama Wealth and Investments Limited. Please go ahead, sir.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. My first question is with regard to, the healthy order inflow that we have seen and your commentary on the fact that the renewable-related T&D CapEx is now picking up. Would you have any targeted number in terms of order inflow for, let's say, the current year, the next year, or any targeted market share?
So definitely our expectation or our confidence level is better than last year. But I will still say that we will be more confident of the numbers maybe a quarter later than where we are today. So that I can tell you that, as I said when Mohit had asked the question, with the kind of TBCB pipeline, our confidence level is much higher this year.
So would there be any annual market size that you're looking at in terms of what could be, your addressable TAM?
So what we have seen is that in the market size, especially in the first quarter, what has happened, and this is my experience for the last 3 to 4 years, there are various TBCB projects, they can shift the market size by say few hundreds of millions of dollars in a year. Because, sometimes it gets stuck up in the decision making because of some geographical reason, because of some law-related reasons, but I am still expecting that excluding HVDC, the market size will be more than $3 billion this year. $3 billion US for us.
This is excluding HVDC?
Excluding HVDC, yes.
Okay, understood. Secondly, with regard to the margins, congratulations on a great margin recovery. So can we assume that, this would be the new normal in terms of margins? Possibly the older projects which are of lower margin profile have already been executed?
So, Shivdeep, this quarter we have a gross profit of 31.7%. Overall, I'll say that yes, the confidence level is higher, but let's not evaluate on quarterly basis, and I think more on a yearly basis, we should be better than the last year.
Understood. Some of your peers, etc., have been, talking about double-digit margins, etc. Would you hazard a target, let's say, spread over the next 2 years? Would you be shooting for some of those kind of margins, let's say, by FY25?
Definitely, I think, Shivdeep, it's a good news that if our competitors are speaking about double-digit margins, then why not? We'll also attempt.
Okay, sir. Understood. Thank you so much for answering my question.
Thank you, sir. Before we take up the next question, a reminder to all the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question, may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. We take the next question from the line of Umesh Rao from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Congratulations for the healthy quarter. My first question is basically regarding this IE integration capital, which is planned at about 2,40,000 crore rupees over the course of next 7-8 years. So out of that, how much of would be related to, say, 765 kV beyond, or between 400 kV beyond, and less than that?
So I think if I really look at about the 765 and 400 kV put together, probably that will contribute maybe about like 75% or maybe slightly more than that.
Got it. And is it fair to assume that your market share relatively would be higher in case of 765 and also in case of 400 kV?
Yeah, so we are primarily a transmission company, so we don't operate into like 33 and 11 kV. But yes, what you're saying is right that over the years we have got a much stronger product portfolio and our presence in 765 and 400 kV.
Got it. Also, because you were the first in terms of localizing technology related to higher voltage level products. So is it also fair to assume, assuming the fairly stabilized raw material prices going forward, your gross margins would be kind of getting closer to 34-35% more of say longer term?
We always aim for the higher gross margins. Last year when we talked order booking margin between the range of 27 to 29% and aim to improve in the execution. Most quarter results has been good. We are around 31.7% margin. The aim is always that we try to improve the margin. We will not be giving a guidance on the margin front, but yes, the entire management team works on improvement beyond the order booking stage.
Got it. Understood. That's heartening to know. My second question is more on the data center side, where you are mentioning higher demand for extra voltage products from data center. So how much big potential opportunity is there from data center for you? What could be the addressable size out of say total capex for data center?
So Umesh, I'll say that, of the overall market, data center is not, I would not say that it's a substantial market. The primary reason is that when you look at individual each PTCB project of 765 kV, that is huge in volume. And data centers today in India are getting built for a lower capacity, so most of the data centers are at 220 kV level. So market, if you look at the overall market size, yes, they are not so big. But definitely because this allows us to get connected with global companies and where we have global relationship. So it always remains as a focus market for us. So we are more targeting the data centers and trying to push our products of GIS, transformers, control automation, and at few places also on turnkey basis.
Great. Third question is more of towards resolution number 8 that you mentioned in your opening remark that there is a potential opportunity to work out global framework of FTC market. So can you please identify how large this could be and this particular 1150 crores kind of a resolution which is now under process, whether those are upcoming orders or potential orders for you?
Just a second. So this is not. So this is basically total we are talking about is more than 1,000 crores. But this is discussion ongoing with our global teams, but it is not like nothing concluded and things like that.
So I'll try to add a few things. So with utility grid solution, as I said, we also have a regular business which is sale and purchase of component and finished goods. Generally, that volume is in the range of 100 to 150 crores on an average. So the large other opportunity from the HVDC segment is expected to be in the range of 700 to 1,000 crores. The principal opportunity is one opportunity is the volume that we see, and we are in discussion with the global counterparts to see if part of those orders can be booked in the GT&D area for the export business.
Got it. And would it fair to assume that profitability would be kind of closer to what it is currently?
So that will also depend upon the profitability at which they will be able to close the deals with the end customers.
Got it. So last question is more of on the industrial side. You have booked one order from Concall in the quarter. But how is overall ordering outlook for industrial space, whether it is from the metal or refining or the cement kind of industry?
So on the metal space, yes, I think there's a lot of investment which was happening, is happening. So a lot of expansion plans are being seen. So we are also targeting few orders in this quarter from the metal space. Refineries, of course, whatever upgradation was happening has happened. So at least in near future, I'm not seeing any bigger opportunities coming out of the refinery segment. But definitely, as Sushil has showed you also, in the order intake and in the order backlog, the share of private customers is increasing. So our focus towards private customer remains very strong, which includes the industrial segment as well.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you. The next question from the line of Bhavin Mitlani from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, congratulations on your new role and good start.
Thank you, Bhavin.
So the question is first, if you could just give us a color about utilization at our various facilities, and from a past interaction, we understand AIS and GIS facilities were underloaded.
So, Bhavin, I think one of the things what we have seen is that we have converted our lines into more lean and also kind of a flexible lines. So probably, for example, not probably, but for example, earlier we had few dedicated lines for different voltages, but now those have been converted. So I would say that yes, in maybe one of the plants, and that is because of some stress on one of the markets where we used to export. The utilization was, I would say, slightly lower, but I would put it that in other plants, the utilization has been much better this year. Difficult to give a number because, the utilization also depends upon the voltage and number of equipments to be made. So it's a combination of a lot of things which define the utilization. But I think the results speak about that things are now looking up.
Okay. Could you talk about the pricing? Because what we understand from talking to industry experts that on an average, the pricing of the transformers or switchgear is roughly 35-40% higher than what it used to be pre-COVID levels.
Bhavin, yes, you are right. They are higher, definitely. But there is a big, a big component of cost increase as well. So, for example, if you look at the prices of CRGO, oil, foreign exchange, copper, everything is contributed to increase in cost. And the good part is that the manufacturers have been able to pass on these increase in cost to the customers. So yes, there have been increase in market prices, but they have been passed on to the customers rather than getting absorbed into the margins.
Sure. The other question is on the lead times, given the 75,000 crores of pipeline that CE spoke about. What kind of lead time that one should expect if we are getting a transformer as a switchgear order currently, and how do you see, given that we have seen like roughly 50% of the industry which used to be Chinese in the last cycle, which seems now they're gone. How should one think about stability cycle as well?
So I would say here, Bhavin, is that yes, definitely, that's good for the industry. But at one point of time, as you said, that there was an underloading situation. The first and foremost, yes, it's going to improve the, the utilization of the existing manufacturers. That is one thing. And second aspect, I would also say here is the utilization also actually depends upon the requirement of the customers and also other market conditions as well. For example, when we talk about transformers, so even the new projects which are coming for TBCB, so earlier it used to come with a timeline of about 15 months to like 12 months to 15 months. Now that is also, I think, getting increased to 21 to 24 months. So I think on that side also, the regulators or the EPC companies are also understanding the pressure which is there. And so accordingly, the deliveries also are also getting adjusted from the factories. So if you are looking for a transformer today, say in a 6 months or a 8 months timeline, it is difficult. It is why it is difficult that it is not only your own manufacturing capacity, but you are also to a great extent dependent on the component sourcing as well, where globally, the sourcing times have increased, whether it is electronics or whether it is all few high voltage items as well. So it's a combination, but if you look at switchgear, I think for switchgear, the lead times are not that great. If somebody wants in few months, it is possible to do it.
Okay, this is last question from my side. So one of your peers, an analyst day and the plant visits, they spoke about increased localization in HVDC, like they are increasing on the valve side, and even on the GIS side, where they are saying that the forgings and some of the castings are being localized here, and over time one should see better cycle time and profitability. Is GE also kind of looking at some of these increased localization initiatives, and which will eventually improve our profitability and return ratios?
Rajan, for example, on GIS side, I will say that we were the first company to have set up a GIS plant in the country. And since the time we have set up the plant, there is a constant exercise which is being conducted by our team to do the localization. And then we identify component by component, and then we do a rigorous process of testing and then qualify the local suppliers. Today, comfortably, we meet the Make in India requirement, which is there from our factory. But just to give you the confidence, the localization effort is an ongoing exercise which keeps on happening in the plant, and we keep on working to improve both the cost and also to ensure that the components are available in the country for us to do this in terms of the lead times, in terms of the cost, in terms of other aspects as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. A reminder to all the participants, if you wish to ask a question, you may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. We take the next question from the line of Renu Baid from IIFL Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, team, and congrats, Cindy, for a new role. Hello?
Hi, thank you, Renu. I think it's quite delayed, quite late now.
Yeah, that's more of a formal congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Sandeep, my first question is, when we look at the export part of the business, some of the larger EPC companies' commentaries on the pipeline from Middle East, Latin, and some of the other markets have been very, very strong. So how are you looking at your export pipeline, both direct exports as well as business which comes through EPC contractors, looking like for the next 9 to 12 months? And how does the pricing of EPC today compare in these markets versus the domestic pricing that we have seen?
One thing, for example, when we talk about G, we have a presence in all the markets. But of course, there are certain markets allocated on terms of product basis and on terms of project basis. So, and also we have to see that in certain markets, whether the products of India are qualified or not. For example, when we look at Minat and all, so there the Indian products are not so qualified, but they prefer to buy European products. But definitely today the share of export is increasing, and also with the global demand increasing in Europe and US and other parts, I think, that we are getting a lot of, traction happening from those markets also. And there also we are engaging with our local teams, or we are also engaging directly with every customers for qualification of our product. So that's a constant area of focus for us, and you would have seen Sushil has presented the related party transaction for approval, where we have requested for a higher amount as compared to last year. So that also shows our confidence to increase the export. That is one thing. And definitely the export pricing is much better than domestic pricing, so there is no doubt about that.
Okay. And on the same line, if you look at, especially Europe has in the last 2 years seen significant spurt in the HVDC orders and creating shortages of supplies. Has that situation relatively eased? Because directly or indirectly it will also impact the supplies of these components to the Indian subcontinent as and when the orders emerge. So how is the situation in that region for HVDC?
It has not eased, and looking into the pipelines of various utilities there, I don't think that it is going to ease in the next 5 to 7 years. This is what is today's forecast. I don't know what happens tomorrow, but today the generation companies there have a quite robust forecast for offshore wind projects, etc., not only in Europe but in US as well. So that's going to drive the demand in a big way for HVDC projects globally.
And in your view, will this also have an indirect impact on the pricing when the project is going up for bidding later this year?
100%.
Got it. Second, can you just share some update on some of the loss-making or the older projects like SL? And overall, what has been the share of these old legacy loss-making or low-margin orders in the backlog today?
So first part I will answer, and then second part Sushil will answer. So I think in one of the highlights which Abhishek presented, we have commissioned the part of the SL project in the last quarter. So at least that's the confidence what we can get our part. We have part of the project we have already commissioned, and rest of the Sushil can.
So SL project is fully commissioned, and that's not in the backlog. On the rest of the backlog, around 20-25% projects are with the low margin, the legacy old projects where we had the commodity price impact. We expect that in next 3 to 4 quarters they will phase out sequentially, and most of the new orders starting say April 22 onwards is at a healthy margin.
So, and on the commercial closure of the SL, have all the price escalations passed to whatever was expected? Is it cured or something else could be expected on closure of this project which was done last year?
Whatever was there as per the contract, yes, definitely we don't have a outstanding or like a past due with the customer today.
Got it. And lastly, while this entire new vertical of Vernova has been created at the group level, what is the thought process of bringing any strategic investor, or how is the group looking at this sector vertical in terms of focus and growth strategy?
So, Renu, this is basically being dealt at global corporate level where we are not involved in any fashion. So we don't have any idea to answer this question.
Done. Thanks much and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Renu.
Thank you. Take the next question from the line of Mohit Kumar from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity once again. So my first question is, what capabilities would I build over next 3 years? Are there any significant gap in your suite of products which can cater to the transmission opportunities available in this country?
So I think I would say, Mohit, that yes, definitely we have good capability across board. For example, we have transformers, circuit breakers, GIS, instrument transformers, automation, digital complete platform. But yes, in some pockets we definitely have some uncompetitive issues, maybe a legacy product and things like that. But that's a constant exercise which we keep on doing based on market feedback and all, to bring new generation of products to for the R&D to be pushed to develop products which are more competitive or maybe which can give a better commercial advantage to the customer, even if it is priced a bit higher. This is a constant exercise what we keep on doing. But just to give you a sense that most of the, not most, but I would say 95% of the product what is manufactured by GE Grid Solution globally is manufactured by GE India as well, GT India as well.
So how do we compare with the rest of the GE factories in the GE looking at the entire portfolio? How do we compare ourselves on cost competitiveness across the world? Of course,
when I compare myself to other GE factories, definitely in terms of cost, we have a good advantage. This is what I can say.
That's my question. What is your localization level in HVDC, GIS, and STATCOMs?
What is it?
Your localization percentage in HVDC, GIS, and STATCOM, numbers?
The GIS will be like, I would say that it depends upon range to range, but it will be like more than 70%, something like that. It would be in the range of about 70%. And then there is an ongoing exercise to even improve it as well. But for HVDC, just to give you that we were the first to manufacture a 800 kV HVDC transformer. We were the first manufacturer in India to have manufactured a 800 kV HVDC transformer from Vadodara. And particularly we had supplied our walls also from India. But decent amount, STATCOM we have not done any project in India. So STATCOM, it is similar to HVDC except for few different components. So there also again transformers etc. can be manufactured in our Vadodara plant. But for the other IGBTs etc. we still need to see about the localization part.
My last question is, how are you trying to avoid the legacy issues which cropped up in the past and which hurt our margins?
So there is three things I will say here. One, we have been repeatedly saying. So first would be selectivity. So we thoroughly analyze what kind of project with what composition of product we have to go after. That is one thing. Second, what are the commercial terms and conditions, because that is also plays an important role, including the cash flow. And third, instead of running after market share and revenue, we are today focused more on profitability. So these things focus is very religiously practiced by the commercial team in all the new orders what we are getting.
Understood, sir. Thank you. Understood, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to ask a question, you may press star and 1. Take the next question from the line of Mr. Umesh Rao from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello, sir. So I have one question related to employee cost. So I think we have done significant cost rationalization around employee cost in fiscal year 23, and now also in first quarter there is a decline in employee cost on a year-on-year basis. So do you think this is more sustainable now?
Yes, it is. There will be slight increase, but we continue, which is because of the annual inflation and so on, but we continue to optimize by lean and other improvement initiatives. And the last year number, which is 3,500 million of employee cost, the same number should be lower than that.
Got it, sir. And any forex loss or gain that was there during the quarter?
Yeah. So most of the other income, as we see in the quarter, is related to the forex gain. However, I'll add that half of this, almost 40-50% of this, is actually the realized gain.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. A reminder to all the participants, if you wish to ask a question, you may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. We take the question from the line of Bhavin Vitlani from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the follow-up opportunity. So, Sandeep, one feedback that we've been getting from speaking to your peers is about on the HVDC side, respect to the gap in the technology, specifically in the HVDC light, the technology in which Leh-Ladakh is going to be built. That's one. And second is on the SATCOM side, that GE obviously lacks the SATCOM technology, so they might kind of miss out on that. So if you could throw light on these two pieces.
I think, Bhavin, so one is that if you would have been following GE Grid Solution or maybe on LinkedIn, or in fact, if you would have seen the global results as well. So this year, GE has taken, this year means from January till now, GE has taken close to, I think, about 12 to 13 HVDC contracts globally. So this is just to give you that we are not looking at any gap in the HVDC technology. Leh-Ladakh is, a different strategic project which will require a lot of other aspects apart from HVDC to execute that. So that is the decision what we have to take. That is one thing. About STATCOM also, this is one thing I can say is that, for example, there is a recent STATCOM which was connected with the English Tunnel which has been commissioned. There are other global STATCOM projects also and large STATCOM projects also globally which we have commissioned. I would not think that we have a technology gap, but then we are focused in STATCOM market selectively. So we have not taken any order in India till now, but it doesn't mean that it is not our target to take the order in future as well.
Great. So just a follow-up here. Would we need the type testing and all that to perhaps act where the orders from STATCOM?
But type testing of what?
So the type testing of the Indian facilities for the STATCOM, given the localization requirement.
But that is what I'm saying, that, for example, STATCOM will have some 2-3 important components. So, for example, when I look at transformers, so transformers we manufacture in India day in, day out. So there whenever the transformer goes out, it goes through a process of 5%. The STATCOM transformers are much simpler to make than a LCC HVDC transformer in terms of complexity. So it's not a big concern to supply STATCOM transformers from Barodara.
Great. That answers my question. Thank you so much for taking my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for the day. I would now like to hand the conference over to Ms. Tanvi Gupta for closing comments.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today for the GE T&D India Limited earnings call. We hope the insights provided by all our speakers have been informative and valuable to you. Thank you for trusting support of all our investors and analysts, and we ensure to remain committed to maintain transparent communication and fostering strong relationships. If you have any further questions or require any additional information, please do not hesitate to reach out to me or communicate. The mail ID is available on our company website. Once again, thank you for participating in today's call. We look forward to your continued support as we embark on our exciting journey ahead. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. On behalf of GTND India Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.